Hey guys, Augiesaint here and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I want to share with you guys my Enduring Legacy build. Now this is one of, if not the best weapon in the game at the moment, and it's just a really solid weapon overall. I do highly suggest this for a bossing weapon, especially if you are going to pair this with Enzo or with Volby, because the crit that they give on this weapon, you can then stack crit damage and you can do insane amounts of damage. I did almost 90 million damage in a public gluttony earlier today, just trying to get some footage for the video to demonstrate to you guys how strong this thing is. Now I did pair it with Enzo, and my Enzo is pretty built, but if you are investing into these kind of weapons and you're fully building them out, then you should also be investing in a Descendant. So either whether it be Volby with Supply Moisture, or Enzo with his Supply Firearm, or just Enzo in general, even without his Transcendence mod, is a very good weapon platform. You could even use it on Glare and then just keep your mental focus up all the time. Or even Ajax. There's so many good Descendants that you should be using alongside a weapon, especially if you are going to be using it for bossing. There's no reason you should be using Enduring Legacy on something like a bunny or something like that in bossing, because it's just holding the weapon's potential back by not giving it a decent platform. So without further ado, let's just hop into the build and I'll show you guys what we're working with. So first of all, let's just have a look at the weapon. You see this is a LMG. It has 115 in the mag. We got a crit hit rate of base at 20%, which is pretty huge. Then we have a crit hit multi of 2.3 base as well. Very strong. The weak point is not the greatest, but we are going to be mainly focusing on crit damage as well as an element because of the unique ability. So we have a look at the unique ability. On hitting an enemy, increases status effect trigger rate corresponding to the element. So you get like increased trigger rate on all the elements. And it inflicts the unique ability quenching to the target. On hitting a burned enemy, increases firearm attack and applies the buff to the attack. So basic information, this will all go down depending on the level. I believe it starts at 20% on the drop off there when you don't have it fully leveled up, which is why you should totally level it up, as it does buff pretty much everything over here. And if you come on down, the on hit increases your attribute status trigger effect rate by 6%. And then we have the quenching. Now this is what makes this thing really strong. Now if we have a look at quenching, this is a debuff that gets applied to the target. So the duration is very short, but since you'll be shooting it all the time to maintain your mental focus stacks, you'll be building this up really fast. It stacks up to 50%. And it gives you fire resistance -5% and also 0.8% per stack, so it stacks up to quite a lot. And then we also have, on hitting an enemy inflicted with burn, you get 11% firearm attack, and we have built it in such a way that we are actually using fire as an element. If you don't want to use fire as an element, I suggest rolling fire on the rolls for the gun. So in saying that, let's have a look at the rolls real quick. This is what I would suggest: firearm crit hit rate, firearm crit hit damage. Those are like the main things you need. Weak point damage, and then the firearm attack. You could potentially drop this out for fire attack, you know, like fire damage, if you don't want to be using a fire mod. But where I'm at right now in the game, I kind of just build weapons around a full element, take advantage of their element that they kind of built around. So in saying that, we are just going full fire on our Enduring Legacy, and because of its unique ability, it's just going to strip fire resistance anyway, so that fire is going to do more and more damage, and you'll also get that firearm attack because you do have the fire enhancement. So now let's take a look at the mods. Obviously we'll start with the fire enhancement, and then we always go action, reaction, rifle reinforcement. This is just flat massive amount of firearm attack. And then since this is a really strong crit weapon, we're going to go with better concentration and better insight, just both of the blue crit rate and crit damage mods. We're going to pick up weak point sight just for a little bit increased weak point damage. There's nothing really better to put there, even though our weak point was pretty low. You're still going to be aiming for weak points anyway, so you might as well pick up that extra damage where you can. We are going to be using Mental Focus as our special mod. I prefer this one. I believe that Sharp Precision Shot is more DPS. I just like this one because it's more consistent, whereas this, if you get interrupted by any ads in like a boss fight, or you stop shooting or whatever, you lose the buff altogether. But I do think it does give you more DPS, so in this will give you more damage overall eventually. I just like to go with Mental Focus, you know, to keep that consistency. But the choice is yours. If you want to switch it out, then you can switch it out. I just like to run Mental Focus, so that's why I'm sticking with that. And then fire rate is very important, so that's why I pick up the blue one. Now the reason I don't use the purple ones is they just don't really provide enough for that 5% of firearm attack rate that you are going to be missing. You only gain 1% of firearm attack versus 5% fire rate. I'd much rather take the 5% fire rate over the 1% of attack, since we have so much of it all stacking up, as well as with the quenching buff. Just kind of is like diminishing returns, you know, we've got so much of it, so then that 1% is not going to really do too much extra. So I like the 5% fire rate, as we don't really have any other way to get any more fire rate. And then we come on down to expand weapon charge. And I'm not a big fan of magazine mods, but on this I feel like it's necessary. So you can actually take full effect of Mental Focus. With this, I believe we have 171 rounds. So like the last 21 rounds, we have a full stack Mental Focus. Versus if we don't have this, it's like 115 rounds in the max. But if you are running Mental Focus, I feel like it's mandatory that you run this, so you can get the full effect of the 150 rounds plus the extra 21 rounds fully stacked up at the end. If you're not running it, you're going to be losing a lot of damage, and you might as well drop mental focus for sharp precision shot. And then last but not least, we have concentration priority. Now this is a massive amount of firearm credit damage, which is massive extra increased damage. We do have the negative reload time modifier, but doesn't really matter because we use skills or rolls to animation cancel the reload. Now if you guys don't know about that, I can demonstrate to you real quick. Basically, when you reload, you guys can see there, as soon as the mag touches the weapon, that's when you can either use a skill or you can roll to then animation cancel the reload and just get your stuff immediately. Now it is different for every gun, but the best way to see it is just watching the magazine hit the gun. All right, so let me go ahead and demonstrate to you guys. We're going to roll as soon as the magazine hits the weapon, and that will animation cancel the reload. You see right like that, we canceled out the last part. Now you can do this with skills as well, just a little bit harder. You have to get the timing down depending on the skill. So it's a little bit easier with faster skills, and mag touch, you can hit that skill and your animation cancel. You can do that with pretty much anybody. The rolling is the easiest, or a skill. If you're on Volby or something like that and you want to chuck down your supply moisture, that's what I usually do. And on my ends, I'm usually doing it when I'm putting down his little increased crit rate or just using the drone. So really nice to keep that in mind, as that's a lot of damage you're going to be gaining. And then you don't need a reload mod. So that's really all there is to the build. You can change this up. Like I said, you can drop out that element, or what you could do is you could leave this slot completely blank, and then you can drop in and out the elements that you want for your, like, whatever boss you're fighting. If you're using the Enduring Legacy as your all-rounder weapon, I usually just use this as my all-rounder bossing weapon, and I still leave on the fire enhancement, and it still does really good even to the bosses that aren't weak to fire. But if you want to leave that slot blank, you can put in any of the elements you need, like as you need them. But they do make sure that you try and roll fire damage on the weapon itself, so you can take advantage of the quenching we had to actually get an increased firearm attack when you are hitting burning enemies. And then lastly, let me show you guys where to farm the dupes for these. I use this website. I'm actually thinking about making a video about this, so let me know if you guys would like me to make a video covering this website, because it does have all the weapons and where to find all their parts. And maybe I can make like a long video with timestamps and stuff showing you guys where to farm each weapon the most efficiently. But how I usually do it is you just look for whichever one has the highest drop chance. So we see these two both have a 20% chance, and then from those two, whichever one of those is a void intercept battle is the one I would rather do, instead of doing the outpost grind and the void shard grind. So let's have a look right now. The first one we have over here, 20%, 20%. This one is from Frostwalker. This one is from Derelict Swamp. So this is a outpost you have to do to open the Void Fusion Reactor. But now come Season 1 in a few days, it shouldn't be so bad to do these, as they're going to be changing a little bit about the Void Shards and stuff. But I still just do not like doing outposts. I would much rather go run Hagios over here and do my double strat to get the double drop. I do have the cheat sheet in my Bible. The TFD Bible will be linked down below in the description. You guys can go check that out, how to always get double drops in your dungeons. You go farm those up, and you go run this, and you have a 20% chance from the Frostwalker. I know the Frostwalker is, you know, a pretty daunting boss for a lot of people, but it was recently nerfed, and it's actually very simple and easy to do him now. Even if there's just one Lepic or even one Enduring Legacy user on like an Enzo or something, the boss just really falls over and explodes. But that's going to be it for the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully it helped you out. Go build yourself the Enduring Legacy. This thing is insanely strong, especially going forward now into Season 1. You want to have yourself a decent weapon to go through these solo incursion dungeon thingies that are coming with Season 1. So just make sure you build your weapons up, get strong, get ready, and grind away in Season 1. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you liked it, please drop a like and a sub to the channel. Helps me out so much. And I'll catch you beautiful peoples in the next video, as well as the streams. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying